Hello YouTube, this is a Satsu 5 and I got a knife review for you today. This is the spyderco byrd tern slip joint. And usually the byrd series is based off of, or the names of birds. Like you got like the raven, and I think the harpy I think is a spyderco, not a byrd, but you know, you got the raven and robin and stuff like that. And that is a tern, for just in case you wanted to know. It's a seabird, and it has a forked tail and long pointed wings. And I wanted to look that up because I knew the byrd series named their knives after birds. So I looked it up and I thought I'd share that with you. Now let's get started with the review. Take it out of the box. And keep in mind, I've used this for a week or so, just because I have the box, or I'm taking it out of the box, doesn't mean that I did not use it. This is the knife. It is a slip joint with a G10 handle and a wire clip. I love the wire clip. Let's put that right there and go through some of the important specs and I can't speak today. Specifications. This has a 2.75 inch satin blade. The blade serial is 8CR13 MOV, and it is made in China, and they call that a drop point. I don't think I would call it a drop point. I would call it a leaf blade or leaf shaped blade. That is definitely not what I would call a drop point. But yeah, black G10. It's an affordable knife. Let's see how much Blade HQ is selling it for. $27.30. And kind of the purpose that my brother bought this knife, this isn't mine, this is my brother's, is that his fiance has kind of a collection of knives that he bought her. Her family didn't really have a lot of knives in their household. She lives with her dad, and my brother got them a ladybug, and they use that ladybug for everything. And then like my brother started getting her different knives so their household could have knives. And but she has some health issues, and she can't eat very well. She doesn't get a lot of nourishment, so she has a problem opening knives. She has a problem opening knives that lock. She can't depress the lock mechanism, so we're looking for things that she can use, and that's where this falls flat. Unfortunately for my brother and my future sister-in-law, this has a very, very strong detent. You can probably hear it. Luckily it has a half stop. But I'm a full grown man. I don't work out like I should, but you know, I'm not, I don't know how weak I am actually. I'm not a strong man, but I'm about average. And when I first got this out of the box, when Matthew got it, it was a chore to open. And even now, it's something that, you know, if I don't have a proper grip on the knife, it's not a fun task. And just to demonstrate something, I got this knife and the UKPK from spyderco. And I want to show you something. That is a slip joint spyderco UKPK. This is the first gen UKPK. I love this knife. I don't carry it very often, but this is probably one of my favorite slip joints, other than the Cadet from Victorinox. But as far as a modern interpretation of a slip joint, this is awesome. I love it. Love the spidey edge, love the wire pocket clip, but it's smooth. You can flick it out open real fast. If you grab it like this, you have this finger trail, which keeps it from being able to be closed on your fingers. And I hate to weaponize this because it's not a weapon at all, but you know, if push comes to shove, you can actually get a little pokey with this. And because of that safety mechanism. And I'd hate for the UK to ban this now because I suggested such a thing. But this UK PK is an awesome knife. Now that I showed you that, watch this. That is the furthest I've ever been able to flip the knife. And that is not easy. There we go. It's just a very strong blade, and it's a shame because, you know, I would love for my future sister-in-law to be able to enjoy this, but she can't. It's not a easy knife to open unless you open it with two hands, which is not hard at all for me, but it's still something that she struggles with. So this has loosened up a lot, but it's not a very easy knife to open. Even for me, for my brother, it's something that as you're opening this, you have to think about it because it takes more effort to open than this. This, you can absent-mindedly flick it open and close it and fidget with it. This is not necessarily a fidgeting knife because you're having to think about it because it's so unpleasant to open. And it's not like it's painful. It's just like, wow, why is that detent so strong? Why is that spring so strong? That's like not necessary at all. In fact, when I opened this, especially when it was brand new, it was when my fingers were moving this wire pocket clip as I was holding it right here, and it was flexing the wire pocket clip as I was opening it. So now that I got that rant out of the way, let's talk about this knife and its other features. It has an opening hole. ACR 13 MOV steel is a very cheap Chinese steel, and I like the blade shape. I love leaf blade shapes. It has a very acute point. Has a little bit of distal taper, but not much. I don't know if you can see this, but it has a little bit of rust. And, you know, it got a little bit wet, and I did use it to cut my food, but I wiped it off, and it still rusted on me. And Texas is a very humid environment, so just keep that in mind, that this CR13 MOV, although it is a stainless steel, it will get some spotting on it. So just keep that in mind. Has jimping on the finger choil and on the thumb ramp, but it's not aggressive, which is good. You don't want aggressive jimping, especially on a slip joint. I don't know why you would necessarily need jimping on a slip joint, and especially, well, I don't think you need jimping on any knife if it's made properly. But as long as the jimping is not too aggressive, I'm okay with it. And this isn't too aggressive. It's just aggressive enough where it's like, huh, I can index the knife. But it's not going to like jack up your thumb if you slip and poke this into something very resilient. But it's a cheap knife, and if you want a very nice slip joint that gives you a wire pocket clip in G10, I'd say this is a good buy for sub $30. So you get a wire pocket clip and G10 for sub $30, and you get a pretty useful blade. You get good tip control, you get slight belly, so in that respect it's a decent knife. It's just, it's something very noticeable about how strong the spring is. It's almost like a thumb workout if you just do it over and over. You know, you can hear Richard Simmons say, "Feel the burn." But I just wanted to point that out, that if you buy this, you will notice that this is a relatively difficult knife to open, and because of that, my sister-in-law cannot use it. Although the UK PK, very smooth, very quick to deploy, and it retracts very well. It's very inconspicuous. So if I was going to get a spyderco slip joint, I'll get the UK PK. But that is, I guess, a cheap option. So I thought I'd point that out, give you an honest review. It's not a bad knife, it's just a awkward, noticeably oval built spring knife. It's just not very pleasant in my experience, in my opinion. So that's it. I'm a Satsu 5 and I'm out.